If you are new to my channel, my name is Jocelyn, and for today's topic, I'm going to discuss the options for Filipinos, non-Filipinos, or former Filipinos, dual citizens, and foreign nationals who are planning to stay in the Philippines for good. Now, if you are a Filipino, you can stay in the Philippines indefinitely. You can reside, you can stay for good, you can own property, you can start a business, you can practice your profession, you can vote in the local and national elections as well if you are a Filipino. If you are a dual citizen and you hold a valid Philippine passport, or even if you don't have a Philippine passport, as long as you have reacquired your Philippine citizenship and you have your dual citizenship documents, you can travel to the Philippines and also stay there for good. And in addition, you have added responsibilities because you have your Philippine citizenship and you also have your foreign citizenship. So make sure that you know your rights and obligations as a foreign citizen and also as a dual Filipino citizen. Now, you can actually stay in the Philippines for good for all dual citizens. Now, if you wanted to know all the rights and privileges of being a dual citizen, you can check out my several videos regarding that topic. If you are a former Filipino, you can also stay in the Philippines, but it is actually limited. Because you are no longer a Filipino, you cannot use your Philippine passport to travel in the Philippines. It is only to show your proof of former Filipino citizen if you wanted to avail of the Balikbayan Visa. If you are a former Filipino and you arrive in the Philippines, you can avail of the Balikbayan Visa for 1 year. This Balikbayan Visa is extendable to your foreign spouse or foreign children. All you have to do is to go to the Filipino lane and you have to ask the immigration officer that you will be availing of the Balikbayan Visa, and then you can stay in the Philippines for 1 year. Before the expiration of 1 year, you must renew or leave the Philippines. If you renew your Balikbayan Visa, you have to pay the fees at the Bureau of Immigration office. Now, you have other options as a former Filipino. You can actually apply for dual citizenship at the Bureau of Immigration in Manila. I'm going to provide the information for specific requirements so you can become a dual citizen in the Philippines and you can stay in the Philippines for good after acquiring dual citizenship. If you are a former Filipino and you wanted to stay in the Philippines permanently and you wanted to have more flexibility, there is what we call a 13G visa for returning former Filipino. It's actually a visa equivalent as a permanent residence in the Philippines. But if I am a former Filipino, my best option is to apply for dual citizenship. However, if you have other reservations and you don't want to become a dual citizen or you don't want to become a Filipino again, you can apply for this 13G visa. This is actually a form of permanent resident visa in the Philippines for returning former Filipinos. What is this 13G visa or an immigrant visa for returning former Filipinos? The visa may be applied by a natural-born citizen of the Philippines who has been naturalized in a foreign country and is returning to the Philippines for permanent residence, including his or her spouse, and minor children shall be considered a non-quota immigrant for purposes of entering the Philippines. Now, if you apply for a 13G visa, you will be treated as an alien and you will be subject to re-entry permit. What does it mean? So, every time you leave the Philippines, you must apply for a re-entry permit so you can go back. However, when you don't have this re-entry permit and you leave the Philippines, you actually lose this privilege. Now, this is not extendable to your family members. Please take note when you apply for a visa in the Philippines, this is personal to you. Now, if you want your family to apply, all of you must apply separately. If you're a returning former Filipino, you can apply for 13G visa at the nearest Philippine consulate abroad or at the Bureau of Immigration in the Philippines. What are the benefits and privileges of a 13G visa granted to a returning Filipino citizen or returning former Filipino citizen who wanted to stay permanently in the Philippines? Please take note that the Philippines is still using the old Philippine Immigration Act of 1940. If the new Philippine immigration law will take effect in the future, this will affect all of those visas. Now, the 13G visa is governed by the Philippine Immigration Act of 1940. This is still the current immigration law in the Philippines. Now, 13G visa holders can stay indefinitely in the Philippines. You can establish a business, you can own stocks, you can form an association or corporation. You have a right of access to the courts. You are allowed to work without securing an alien certificate or alien work permit. Also, you may acquire or purchase a condominium or land in the Philippines, and you can also buy a car. However, there are responsibilities or obligations. First, you must respect or obey the laws of the Philippines. Second, you must register at the Bureau of Immigration. And third, you must inform the Bureau of Immigration if there are changes in your residence address or domiciliary address. Now, how long is the processing of this returning Filipino visa? It actually takes about 40 days depending on the volume of applications at the Bureau of Immigration or at the Philippine consulate abroad covering your residence. If you are a foreign spouse and you married a Filipino and you wanted to stay indefinitely in the Philippines or become a permanent resident, you can apply for a 13A visa. You can apply for a 13A visa at the nearest Philippine consulate abroad covering your residence or at the Bureau of Immigration in the Philippines. The 13A visa is only applicable to native foreign spouse of a Filipino citizen. This is not applicable to former Filipinos. It's a different category of visa for former Filipinos. For foreign spouse of a Filipino national who wanted to stay in the Philippines, you can apply for a 13A visa. And this 13A visa is governed by the Philippine Immigration Law of 1940. So this 13A visa is only granted to foreign citizens abroad, and that country must have a reciprocity agreement, or that country provides permanent residence to Filipinos as well. If you are a foreign national married to a Filipino, here are the requirements for applying for a 13A visa. First, you must contract a valid marriage with a Philippine citizen. The marriage must be valid and recognized according to the laws of the Philippines. Also, there is no record of any derogatory information against you in any local or foreign law enforcement agency, and you are not afflicted with a dangerous, contagious, or loathsome disease. In addition, you must have sufficient financial capacity or support a family and will not become a public burden. Authorized by the Philippine immigration authorities to stay. Now, you must be a foreign national of a country that has reciprocity agreement with the Philippine government, and there are only several countries. So I'm going to show you the list of countries that have reciprocity agreement in the Philippines, and if you are a foreign citizen or a foreign spouse of a Filipino national and you belong in these countries, you can be granted a 13A visa. Now, if you are a native foreign national and you wanted to stay in the Philippines as a permanent resident or stay in the Philippines for a longer period of time, or you wanted to retire in the Philippines, there's what we call a Special Resident Retirees Visa or SRRV. This is a separate visa. It is actually a non-immigrant visa given to foreign nationals who wanted to stay in the Philippines or make Philippines their second home. This visa is under the Philippine Retirement Authority, and there are special set of rules before you can be granted this visa. Now, this SRRV visa is not granted at the Philippine consulate abroad, and if you wanted to apply for this visa, you must be in the Philippines and apply personally at the Philippine Retirement Authority. I'm going to provide a different video for this topic because the details are more complex or there are more information that you needed to know before you can apply for this SRRV type of visa. However, if you are residing abroad and you wanted to avail of this visa, you must apply first for a temporary visitor's visa such as a 9A visa, and also you must have an entry exemption document from the Philippine Retirement Authority. So you needed to contact the Philippine Retirement Authority and tell them your intention of getting an SRRV visa so you can go to the Philippines and apply for this visa. First, you must apply for a different type of visa, a 9A temporary visitor's visa, and get an entry exemption document before flying to the Philippines to get this SRRV type of visa. Now, what are the privileges of granting a special resident retirees visa? Please take note, this is all under the jurisdiction of the Philippine Retirement Authority and not by the Bureau of Immigration. First, you will have indefinite stay with multiple entry-exit privileges. Second, exemption from Philippine Bureau of Immigration ACR card or annual reporting. Also, customs duties or exemption from customs duties and taxes for one-time importation of household goods and personal effects up to $7,000, tax from pensions and annuities. Travel tax exemption if retiree has not stayed in the Philippines for more than 1 year from date of last entry, and exemption from student visa or study permit. Also, there are other privileges. Access to Greet and Assist program at selected Philippine airports, free subscription to the PRA newsletter, discount privileges from PRA accredited merchant partners, free assistance in transacting with other government agencies, and entitlement to PhilHealth benefits and privileges. Now, if you are planning to stay in the Philippines for good, whether you are a Filipino, dual citizen, former Filipino, or a spouse or a foreign spouse of a Filipino, or you wanted to retire in the Philippines for good as a foreign national, please share in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts regarding the different options. Thank you guys for watching, and if you have any other questions or comments, please post them down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you guys for supporting my channel, and if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. I always welcome new subscribers. Thank you guys for supporting my channel. I hope everyone is staying safe and have a great day.